afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm Sydney Crespo and on behalf of Nexusguard Academy, I am pleased to welcome you all to the opening of the significant webinar entitled Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing. Of course, cybersecurity plays an important role in a business defense in depth, and we've seen a lot of breaches and ransomware attacks from various organizations and data, and it's now starting to be commoditized by threat actors by threatening it to expose it and ransoming it as a means of enumeration. That's why in this webinar, you can learn tips on how to secure your organization and keep up with a country's regulatory compliances. For today, of course, we are talking about VAPT and Nexusguard Certified Pentester course, and vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, or VAPT, as I mentioned, are two types of vulnerability testing. The tests have different strengths and they're often combined to achieve a more complete vulnerability analysis. In relation to VAPT, Nexusguard Certified Pentester course is not your traditional ethical hacking training program. Lessons range from in-country laws and regulations, showcasing the importance of VAPT towards driving compliance. So this course was designed by Nexusguard practitioners who have years of experience in understanding the loopholes of organizations and exposing the gaps that need to be remediated to avoid a compromise.
Basically, the Nexusguard Certified Pentester is not just a typical ethical hacking course. It is where students can learn fundamentals such as introduction to vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, which is VAPT, as well as its relation to compliance and regulatory requirements, such as the various laws, such as the GDPR, the PCI DSS, and the Personal Data Protection Act of 2012, which is the PDPA. It is also where students can learn advanced topics like the different industry standard VAPT tools, and how to use these tools in real life. Topics also include different web application security vulnerabilities, right? Such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, code executions, and others. These vulnerabilities is a part of the OWASP Top 10, which is a list of different web application security vulnerabilities as defined by the Open Web Application Security Project, or OWASP. Students will also learn network penetration testing, wherein we will teach the students the different methods on how to perform network reconnaissance and scanning and exploitation, as well as hands-on activities pertaining to post-exploitation methods such as the lateral movement. Wherein after the initial compromise, we will teach the students how to do movement from one a device to another within the device's internal network. We will also teach and guide students on how to create enterprise-grade reports, and including creating proof of concepts and how to replicate the vulnerabilities. And lastly, we will teach students to assess their organizations using threat modeling frameworks such as the STRIDE. It can suggest what the defenses to include in the organization, how you can do a background on the attacker's profile, what are the possible attack vectors that the attacker can use to attack the organization. So it's very helpful to the organizations, how they can protect their assets, and both online and eventually the offline assets as well. We have our target domain, which is nexusguard.com, and then the harvester will need to have a source. Okay, this particular source will be like Google, for example. So after you execute the command, the harvester will try to use Google to find the publicly available information. Okay, these are publicly available, meaning it is posted somewhere else in public. So there's no actual hacking going on. It just gathers all of these results from the internet. Okay. So as you can see here, it's now searching in Google, and here we have information pertaining to email address, such as we have here a business Nexusguard, and all of these email addresses here on the terminal. So When a hacker or attacker gets a hold of this email address, there are a couple of ways that he can utilize this, right? He can send phishing emails or spam this with email address with malware attachments. Okay, a hacker can do that, and the harvester cannot just only get email address; it can also get subdomains. So these are some of the websites that the organization has. But basically, overall, these are information that the harvester got from publicly available sources such as Google, and you can use other sources as well, such as Yahoo, Bing, or even Shodan. Right? Shodan is a website wherein you can search for internet-connected devices or IoTs, such as CCTVs and your smart ref. If you have a smart ref at home, you can check if it's connected to the internet using that particular tool. So it's not just about email address, right? So if you're a hacker wants to compromise a network or a website or the entire organization, it's not just about emails. There's another tool that you can use to do reconnaissance, and this particular tool is called the DNS Twist. Okay, DNS Twist is a tool to conduct DNS fuzzing. So for those who doesn't know what DNS fuzzing is, it is an automated process to discover potentially malicious domains or squatting domains. So some of you might have a website, right? And you have a domain that you use, and this particular domain might have some similarities. Or I can, if I'm a hacker, I can purchase a domain that's somewhat similar to your domain. So using this particular tool, you can actually generate a list of similar domains. And the reason of this is because people can purchase a domain similar to yours and use that particular domain to attack you, right? Be it social engineering, be it phishing attacks, or emails, spam emails containing malwares. So, it's a Python script basically, where you install in your machine, and you run it in the terminal using this particular commands, Python 3, because it's a Python script, and you only need to include a domain. So for example, your domain is nexusguard.com. You input nexusguard.com there, and the tool will now try to generate a list of squatting domains. So as you can see here on the screen, it says here 7,439 permutations, meaning that all of these 7,439 permutations, out of these permutations or out of these number of domains, what we have here is six similar domains that are registered. Okay, so meaning there's a person out there that registered this particular domains here at the bottom, and nobody knows is how they utilize these domains. Maybe they use these domains to send phishing emails or whatnot. So at least if you're going to determine what are the domains or what squatting domains are registered, you can take action. Okay, so if you have an organization, you can try to generate these squatting domains and take appropriate measures, like you can report it to the proper authority to take it down. Okay, because of course it's intellectual property rights of your organization, right? So again, these are just some of the examples that you can do, okay, to gather information pertaining to your target. Now, the last tool that I will show you here is what we call the Sublister. Well, basically, Sublister is just a script that you can run on the terminal. Basically, it will just generate a list of subdomains, right? So if you have a website, like for example, like nexusguard.com, right, or example.com, we can use this particular tool. Just type in the terminal Python 3 again, because it's a Python script, and then the name of the script, and then the domain. Okay, so if your domain is nexusguard.com, all you have to do is type -d and then the domain nexusguard.com, and then it will generate a list. Okay, it will generate a list of subdomains using publicly available sources. Okay? Like Baidu, Yahoo, Google, Bing, and so on and so forth. So basically, these are the publicly accessible subdomains that anyone can access. So as part of reconnaissance, you'll determine that these are the assets, the internet-facing assets that anyone can just look into and attack. Okay, so these subdomains may or may not have vulnerabilities, but the important part is you have a list of possible targets. So if you can't attack a single, if you can't get inside these particular subdomains, you can choose another subdomain. Maybe they're part of the same server, and that's one way of getting in. So again, these are just part of reconnaissance, right? And that is just one step of the entire VAPT process. Okay, the reconnaissance. So basically, there are steps like reconnaissance, wherein you get information. That's what I shown you earlier. And after that reconnaissance, you will do scanning. Okay, so scanning involves finding vulnerabilities on the assets that you have found during the reconnaissance phase. And after the scanning, of course, you're going to do exploitation, meaning that if you have found a vulnerability on those assets, we're going to exploit that. All right, there will be a couple of techniques there, manual and automated techniques to exploit vulnerabilities, including tools that we will teach you in the course. And again, after the exploitation, the next step is post-exploitation. So this involves cleaning up of the activities, cleaning of logs, planting backdoors and whatnot. Now, those are post-exploitation activities, because it is the second step or the next step after the successful exploitation. Then the final step of the VAPT, the entire VAPT process is the reporting. Of course, if you're a ethical hacker or a penetration tester, you will do documentations about the activities that you have done, including the step-by-step procedures and how you manage to get inside the system, so that you can report that to the proper organization. So if you have a client in the future, you're going to do a VAPT on, you're going to do reconnaissance, scanning, exploitation, post-exploitation, then reporting. You're going to submit that in order for the organizations to fix the vulnerabilities. Or if you don't have a client, maybe you can use it on your own organization. Okay? You can plug holes in your organization. Maybe your website has vulnerabilities, and that will prevent, right? That will prevent future breaches. We already seen a lot of breaches in the past, right? Big companies, small companies, they got breached. Their entire database was dumped either in the public web or the public domain, or in the dark web, where anyone can sell information. Information is actually money in the cyberspace. So yeah, that's basically how you do reconnaissance. That's how you get information from your target.
The PDPA actually provides a baseline standard of protection for personal data in Singapore. So it actually complements sector's perspective, specific legislative and regulatory frameworks such as the Banking Act and the Insurance Act. So in Singapore, all the banks are under the TRM 8 policy, so they have to comply with this act. So it actually also comprises various requirements that do the governance, the collection and the use and disclosures, as well as the care of personal data in Singapore. So PDPA actually also provides for the establishment of a national do not call, or we call this the DNC registry, or the register, right? So this individual may register their Singapore telephone numbers with the DNC registry to opt out the receiving or unwanted telemarketing messages from organizations. So it's sort of like protecting you from all the spams and flooding of all these advertising messages. So we have this thing called the DNC list. Yeah.
We have a question here for Sir Dev. So Sir Dev, someone asked, what is your journey like in taking the Nexusguard Pentester course, or which part of the journey is you would like to share to our professionals right here?
at times. So I with the Nexusguard, I can tell that the best part is that you can talk to these amazing professionals and you can share like your personal concern with them. And as a management part, I have a concern regarding one is the hands-on, I want to do it. So I know is that my team, what they are doing it and delivering it when I'm presenting even to the clients. And the second thing was processes to analyze these reports. And as Rodel and Ruben, I asked a few times, I think. So I able to get personal assistance on this schedule, and then we will just sort it out. That was the best part of it. The last is new technologies, the new tools, or you can say also the same tool using in a new way. That was such an interesting part of Nexusguard.
Hey, that's great. Thank you so much, Sir Dev. Again, thank you also, Sir Rodel and Sir Glenn, for joining us this afternoon, and also for sharing your insights. I've learned a lot as well. So I want to thank also the NTU Singapore and Miss Jaslyn Pan of NTU Singapore. Thank you so much for attending the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing webinar. So again, guys, before we go, we are sharing here the Nexusguard Certified Pentester course QR code. So you can scan this and be our student. To know more about the information and to register, you may scan our QR code that we are sharing right now. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.